Hey everyone, Schwab here to give you another book recommendation. This one is Vox by Christina Dalcher. As always, I am not paid by any publisher, agent, writer to review and recommend books. I just am a nerd and I really like reading and I just want to share with everyone the cool books that I'm reading about. So on that note, let's talk about Vox. So I picked up Vox because I was at Target and they have this display in their book aisle saying, like, if you like this book, then you like that book. And on the display, they had Handmaid's Tale, and then they pointed over to Vox saying that you would like this book if you liked Handmaid's Tale. So I liked Handmaid's Tale, so I thought, all right, I'm going to trust Target and their book recommendation, so I'm going to go ahead and pick it up and read it. And so I read it. So Vox is very similar to Handmaid's Tale because it's all about female rights and things like that. Their premise more focuses on communication, and the main draw is that in this society they only have 100 words to say in a day. So if you're wondering how significant that is, most people say about 16,000 words a day. So big difference. How they keep track of that is, or in the book, they have a tracker or a counter that's similar to like an Apple Watch. So all women and girls are wearing this Apple Watch feature, and it counts how many words they say in a day. And if they go over that limit, they get a shock. And depending on how many words they go over, they get even more intense shock. Not only that, the women are not allowed to work. They have to stay at home, and their main job is to take care of the kids, clean and cook. And young girls, they're not taught how to read and write. Their focus is on math, so that way they can make different food items and things like that, and how to do the different chores that they're supposed to do when they are an adult and taking care of the house. And so the government is being run by this peer movement, and so there's a religious aspect to it where they're taking everything literally from the Bible and saying that women have to be this way or that way. And if they don't follow the rules, if women do not follow the rules of their society and what they have said about, the women are ridiculed, tortured, and either put in a labor camp to change their ways for the rest of their life, or they disappear. So the main character in the novel is named Jean, and she's a sociolinguist. So what that is somebody that just studies languages and like this, like in how language affects society and things like that. And so when she was working on this big project where she's working on a serum to help reverse effects of like a stroke where language tends to get mixed up. And so she was working on this breakthrough in science, and they shut it down because she is a female. And she's not very happy with her role as being somebody in the house. She wants to continue with her work, and she's fearful of the lack of education her daughter's getting and those kinds of things. So the story picks up when the president's brother has a traumatic brain injury and they want to reverse the effects, and she's the leading expert. So they have to go against what they propose in their government or their society, and they call her in. And that kind of leads to a rebellion within the society. So overall, the book premise is very interesting, and it's very similar to The Handmaid's Tale. It has that dystopian aspect, as well as women having no rights and trying to figure out how to get past these injustices. For me, I'm female, and I was reading through it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. I've not survived in this society whatsoever. And the reading and writing is very troubling. The 100-word limit is bad. There's no communication, and for me, I am a big reader. I post these lovely YouTube videos reviewing and recommending books. So, and this is probably already over 100 words. So, and I'm a teacher. I'm going to grad school, so there's a lot of aspects of my life right now that would not have been important according to this society. And, it's just, it makes you a little annoyed and angry when you're reading the novel, but it's also very thought-provoking, and it makes you think, well, what would you do? Quite honestly, I don't know what I would do. But it's interesting. What also I thought was interesting was that I had my friend Natalie over, and I have books everywhere in my apartment, see behind me, and she picked up the book and she read the back of it, and she's like, yeah, I can't read this, and she put it back down. And that's the whole point, is that it's supposed to be a little unsettling and you feel uncomfortable with it, but it's also thought-provoking, and it's female empowerment, and you're like, okay, what would you do? And what would you do in order to keep the rights that you have, kind of thing. The novel has a large range in vocabulary. There were a lot of words that I had to look up because I just wasn't sure what they meant, because it is written by a social linguist herself. So she's a very smart lady, and it's very intelligently written. A lot of the things, if you're not familiar with, like, different parts of the brain, or the scientific process, and how to do those experiments, it might be a little difficult to follow, but because it does dive deep into the science of everything, but it is interesting, just the whole premise of it. So if you're willing to look through or look up words that you don't know, whether concepts you don't understand, then it's doing its purpose of teaching you something new. Only issue I kind of had with the book was that it had this weird love triangle thing that I didn't think was necessary, because there's a lot of drama in it already, and then they add in this other person, and you're just like, well, why? Kind of thing. I mean, overall it was really good. I just didn't really like having that into it. I think the focus should have been more on girl power and female empowerment and fighting the man kind of thing, instead of, oh, he's cute. But that's just me. I mean, it was good nonetheless, and I think it's worthwhile to check out. But that's all I have for today. So again, you can check out Vox on Amazon, Target, bookstore, library, etc., all the normal places you would find books. If you like this video, please hit subscribe, and I'll update whenever I can. But yeah, that's all I have for today. Until I see you guys next time, keep on reading. Bye!